Greetings everyone. This time I'm gonna rank the entire discography of Iron Maiden, one of the greatest heavy metal bands of all time, and also, in my personal opinion, a great progressive rock band as well. So let's just get straight into what really matters and let's talk about the album at the bottom of this list. Virtual 11. There were two albums that I knew from the beginning their positions. This one at the bottom and my number one. Let's talk about this. The artwork is not bad, just very interesting. It is definitely the most different artwork of theirs. Eddie really doesn't look like Eddie, and as far as the music goes, the main problem with this release is the sheer amount of repetition. Literally 90% of this whole album is just repetition. This problem gets most obvious on The Angel and the Gambler, and man, 9 minutes of "Don't you think I'm a savior" is just too much, even for a boring guy like me. The actual good part of this album are with the songs such as Future Rio, Lightning Strikes Twice, The Clansman, and The Educated Fool. These songs are quite enjoyable, but this album is surely Maiden's worst release. Next up, it's Peace of Mind, surprisingly. The album cover looks nice. Eddie is trapped inside a cell for maniacs. We can see that his skull was drilled. Poor guy doesn't even have a brain, just like these boomers that say this is Maiden's best album. Although The Trooper is not a bad song, I don't think it is the best song Iron Maiden has ever made. I was just disappointed with it when I got into this album. The sound of the production also feels a bit muffled. I don't think it was the best sound that they have ever done. Other than that, I really enjoy the first side of the album. The songs I enjoy the most are Where He Goes There, Revelations, Flight of Icarus, and To Tame a Land. I find the second side of this album a bit boring and disappointing, and To Tame a Land was a big surprise. That song was inspired by Dune, and you know, Dune is my favorite book series of all time, but it's a shame that Frank did not let the band keep the song title as Dune. In the end, not the best album, but also not bad, so if you enjoy this, well, enjoy it. Fear of the Dark is the next one. This was the last release before Bruce left the band, and then came for the Blaze Bayley releases, but I don't think any of these three albums are bad. The artwork is really cool, I like the colors and the drawing, and it is really unique that the band's logo is sideways. The songs sound more like the same, and some of the songs here are not good, really, such as The Apparition and Weekend Warrior. I really don't like those two. Other than that, the songs that I enjoy are Wasting Love, Judas Be My Guide, and the title track, Fear of the Dark. Those three songs are completely amazing and way above the rest of the album. Something else about this release is the fact that this is the closest we ever got and will ever get to Bruce singing harsh vocals and growls. Not my favorite album, but it is popular, so that's something. No Prayer for the Dying is next. Oof! So the beginning of the end, let's talk about the best things from this album, which is the cover. I mean, it's not that great of a cover, really. The songs that I like here are Tail Gunner, No Prayer for the Dying, Fate's Warning, and Public Enema number 1. Those songs are not bad, but well, they're the only listenable songs in this whole thing. I really don't like the sound nor the singing, and it is really generic. The only other album that sounds similar to this, it would be Fear of the Dark. And you just had as the previous item in this list, so you can see the state we find ourselves in. The Book of Souls. This is the longest Maiden album and one with the most progressive rock elements. You can hear what I mean on The Red and the Black, The Book of Souls, The Man of Sorrows, and their longest song to date, Empire of Clouds. The songs that I like the most here are If Eternity Should Fail, Speed of Light, The Red and the Black, and The Man of Sorrows. I really like those songs, they're amazing. The artwork is also nice, not my favorite cover from theirs, but not bad either. Senjutsu is next. Although this album is not bad, I feel like most of the meat is present at the first 4 songs. Senjutsu, Stratego, The Writing on the Wall are my favorite songs from this album. Other than that, I like Lost in a Lost World. The other songs are quite alienated to the side of progressive rock, and they're very good and long songs. This is definitely a strong album considering how old they are and how shitty modern music is. Other than that, the artwork looks really nice. We have this Samurai Eddie. In the end, this is a great album and I highly recommend it. A Matter of Life and Death. This album is another of their 2000s releases. The artwork is something, not my favorite cover of theirs. Other than that, it sounds more like the other releases from the era, but a little worse. It sounds a bit weird, I will say, but the themes of the songs are really profound and meaningful. The songs I like the most are Different World, Brighter Than a Thousand Suns, and Out of the Shadows. Other than those, my favorite song is The Longest Day, just as the one with the best lyrics and the best meaning. Dance of Death, the famous album with that awful cover. Oof, that looks so bad. Well, the sound of this album also is not great. The production and the mixing side of things could have been better. You can hear this sound in all of the songs. But still, I like this album. It was the first album that I've listened beginning to end from Iron Maiden. Some of the songs I like the most are No More Lies, Dance of Death, Face in the Sand, Age of Innocence, and Journeyman. Dance of Death is definitely the song I listened the most from this band, even before I got into their discography. I love the song, so that's great. Age of Innocence is also another really good song, very memorable, and it is so good. Damn. It is so good to have this song towards the end of the album. Killers is next, and The Sophomore is another really good release with a memorable album cover. It is another album that has more of a hard rock sound to it, just like the debut, with a mixing of progressive rock and heavy metal. Some of the songs that I enjoy more here are The Ides of March, Murders in the Real Morgue, Genghis Khan, Killers, and Drifter. But the other songs in this album are also really good. There are no bad songs in here, definitely. The only other thing that I can say is that this was the last album before Bruce joined the band, so that's a change. The Final Frontier. Besides Seventh Son, this is the most progressive rock influenced album Iron Maiden has released, and you know that I love progressive rock, so this release is just amazing. The artwork looks really cool, I like it a lot. Dare to say, it's one of their best artworks. As mentioned, this album has many progressive rock passages and experimental sections. Some of them you can find in my two favorite songs, Satellite 15, The Final Frontier, and The Man Who Would Be King. The other songs are also really proggy and I like them a lot. Mothers of Mercy, Coming Home, Starblind are the ones I like more, but there's not even a single bad song in this album. I really like this whole package, and as I said, it's progressive rock, so of course this album came out great. Brave New World is next, and the album Bruce Dickinson came back to the band as well as the first album with 3 guitarists. Is another really good release. First of all, the artwork is really good. It goes along well with the release, and I know that the clouds were drawn by the same artist who has been making the cover since their debut. While the CD was made by an architect, if my memory serves me right. The songs are also good. The most memorable ones are The Wicker Man, Brave New World, Blood Brothers, and Out of the Silent Planet, but yet my favorite song is Dream of Mirrors. I find this album has a more soft sound to it, if you understand what I mean. It is a mixture of heavy metal with progressive rock, but there are some sections of the work that sound more like blues rock. Not that it is a problem, I mean, overall, this is a good comeback album and I enjoy it. Not my favorite release from theirs, but still really good. And another great thing is that I have a lot of nostalgic memories from this album, from back when I got my first job around 2 to 3 years ago, so yeah, some old memories. Next up is Iron Maiden, their debut. And one of their best releases. This first album has a special sound combining heavy metal, hard rock and progressive rock, and I just love this combination. All of the songs are good. Prowler is a good introduction. Remember Tomorrow reminds me a lot of Nectar's Remember the Future. Running Free is a fun song, and all of the other remaining tracks are good as well. Phantom of the Opera, Transylvania, Strange World, Charlotte the Harder, and the title track, as well as the band's self-titled song. Oh, I guess I committed a mistake in writing the script, but whatever. Iron Maiden, of which is my favorite track from the album. I didn't talk about the artwork yet, but it's also a memorable artwork. I like how it looks, and for this first release, it fits the album well. Next up is The Number of the Beast, the classic one, the song that everyone in the face of Earth with access to advanced civilization has listened at least once to. I do like the artwork, although it is not my favorite artwork. Eddie is puppeteering the devil, which is also puppeteering another little Eddie, and they're on top of hell. How cool does that look? This album has more classic heavy metal sound, different to the early Maiden albums, which have some of that hard rock sound, and the progressive rock elements are also present here, of which I really enjoy. Every song here is good, there's not a single song I dislike, but I will say that my favorite songs are Children of the Damned, The Prisoner, The Number of the Beast, Run to the Hills, and Hallowed Be Thy Name. Overall, amazing and memorable album, and I would definitely recommend that you start Maiden's discography with this one here. The X Factor, very polemic, I know, but whatever, you boomers, I am the one making this ranking, so my opinion is the one that matters. People normally don't like this album just because Bruce's name is not on the sleeve, but if they were to ignore that, they would realize that this album is amazing. The songs I enjoy the most are Sign of the Cross, Lord of the Flies, Men on the Edge, Look for the Truth, Judgment of Heaven, and 2 AM. But the other songs are good too. This album is the darkest Iron Maiden album of all, and that's really unique about this release. You can see by the album cover that this release is the darkest and most depressing out of the discography, and the one that is the most similar with what I normally like to listen to. So great release, and I highly recommend it. Somewhere in Time is next, and this is one of the most unique Maiden albums of all. It is the only synth metal album that they have released, and that's really interesting. The artwork makes me think of Blade Runner, and it goes along well with the synthish futuristic style really well. At first, when I listened to this one, wasn't ultimately interested in it, but the more I listened, the more I loved it. Some of the songs I love the most are Caught Somewhere in Time, Wasted Years, Stranger in a Strange Land, Deja Vu, and Alexander the Great. The other songs I didn't mention are not bad by any means, but they're not my favorites. This release is another of Maiden's best work. It just is. Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. This here is amazing. First, talking about the album artwork, I just love this one. It is the most psychedelic looking artwork from the entire Iron Maiden discography. Now about the music, this is the most progressive rock oriented album from their whole discography, and I just love that because progressive rock is an amazing genre. I love every single song from here: Moonchild, Infinite Dreams, Can I Play with Madness, The Evil That Men Do, Seventh Son of the Seventh Son, and most of all, then we have The Prophecy, Clairvoyant, and the album ends with Only the Good Die Young. A perfect album for sure, but you know, it is not number one, so let's just move on. The number one is, of course, Power Slave. This is just the best album. Ever since I got into Maiden's discography, this has been it. First of all, the artwork is just timeless, the most memorable album cover that you can have out there. The songs are also amazing, every single one is great. It Says Hi, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Lost for Words, Flash of the Blade, The Duelists, Back in the Village, and the two best Iron Maiden songs ever. Power Slave and Rime of the Ancient Mariner. If you want to listen to the best Iron Maiden album and the best songs from them ever, this is the one you should listen to. So, what are your thoughts on Iron Maiden's discography? Leave in the comment section how wrong I am and how right your opinion is, and leave a like if you enjoyed this video. I will definitely read out the comments, so leave one as well. Until the next video.